Welcome to another episode of When Hits the Fan. Listen, we got a hot show for you today. Something you definitely don't want to miss. And it's going to be a very iconic show, I think.
I believe so. I mean, how often do you get to sit down with somebody who knew Tupac personally?
But listen, we're not going to spill the beans. She already said too much as usual. So without further ado, we would like to welcome to the show. Matter of fact, tell the people who you are, what's your name, and your previous title.
My name is David Givens. I used to be the president of MAKAVELI Records, which is Tupac's label, and also MAKAVELI Music Group, which was the family's label.
Okay. Well, first, we want to thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Pretty sure you're a busy man these days. I like the shirt, Libra World. We were
Absolutely.
just
A
talking
lot
about
of
that,
Libras in our family.
a lot of Libras and everything. So I
It's
already
a great
feeling it.
sign.
Absolutely, man. So, look, man, let's get right into it, man. So I guess let's talk about this whole MAKAVELI thing. How did MAKAVELI start?
It started, I say, around 95-ish, 94, late 94, 95. Pac wanted to start his own label. And he ended up signing with Death Row. Suge got him out of jail and made him an offer he couldn't resist. So he felt the need to go ahead and oblige and work with Suge. But during the process, he spoke with his mom and said he wanted to do his own thing. So we put some stuff together, and I got a call from one of my friends named Amy Fry, who lives in Atlanta. Shout outs to Amy. She told me that Pac was looking for an executive to run the label. So they gave me a call. I came in, interviewed with the mom and the auntie. Pac hadn't showed up yet, and we were just talking, and then I'd say probably within like 40 minutes or so, Pac came in and pretty much gave his spiel, asked me what I do in the business, how long I've been in the business, what could I bring to the table. And after a little short meeting, next thing you know, I was signing papers.
So what can you bring to the table? We're talking about Tupac.
How did he find you? That's
Right.
what I want to know.
I mean, how did he find you?
Amy Fry.
Like my friend Amy Fry, she knew
I'm
Tupac.
assuming you have previous background in music as well.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. I
let's go
started
ahead.
off doing house music.
Okay.
Started that back in '91 at Columbia College, and I started working with Fast Eddie and Steve Silk Hurley, and that's pretty much how I got into business. And I decided after that I wanted to do behind the scenes work, so I started doing my own production, putting together a production team, started managing producers and everything like that, and that's how I gained my experience.
So previous to this, and we'll go dig a little deeper into this, but
Okay.
previous to this, had you had any other reputable clients, known clients?
Other
Record
than
labels.
in Chicago with Steve and his label, working with Fast Eddie, he had his own little label. That was pretty much all the experience that I had. But because I was around so many people and because I have a musical family, a lot of people knew my family, so that helped me out too as well.
So you get in this role,
Hmm.
and you're in it for how many years? Like 3 years?
The first go around was with the label. I started 96. Yeah, 96, and went till about 2006, 2008.
So like 10 years
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah, and then I got a call back around 2010 to start the family label, and that lasted for about 2-3 years. Then I left that situation.
So what was it like during that time? Because, I mean, what we saw was Tupac. We saw, obviously, West Coast versus East Coast, this whole feud.
It was a lot of behind the scenes that folks didn't see, and
what
that
was
wasn't in the movie. So, when making a movie, you have to do a lot of cuts.
Okay.
Okay.
I got to ask a question.
Yes.
You got a
before
question
we
before we
into
get there.
that.
Okay.
So, and the people want to know,
Yes.
is Tupac still alive?
I can't answer that.
Really?
I can't answer that.
But you know that conspiracy exists. You know the
Yes,
conspiracy
I know it
exists.
exists. Yeah.
So when I ask you, is Tupac still alive? Your answer is
I can't speak on that.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that kind of blows me on my seat. I don't know.
okay. That's the answer.
I'll put it like this. I'll say as much as I can. Pac knew it was a hit on him, and he did everything to avoid it. And that's all I can say.
So when Tupac then, so since we're here, I'm gonna keep going with that. So Tupac, based on what you're saying, allegedly died in Vegas.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Were you in Vegas when that happened?
No.
Because there were rumors that you were with him.
No, I wasn't with him.
There was rumors, different social media rumors that...
Social media rumors.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
I wasn't with him.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So let's back up a little. I guess, we're going to get more into this conspiracy. But,
yeah, because now you got me thinking.
It's a lot. When it comes to the industry, it's a lot of conspiracy theory. And I tell people not to listen to everything that you hear on the radio or pay attention to what you see on TV. Because the media's job is to sell garbage. That's how they make their money. If it's something that's going to cause an uproar, they're going to blast it on TV or radio or whatever. But the good stuff you pretty much won't hear about. So
when you say Tupac knew it was a hit out on him.
Hold on. You going in.
I gotta know.
Hold on. We know the dagger is coming. We're going to come back to that. Let's back up a little. Tell us about your first meeting with Tupac. Tell us about Tupac. Let's go there. Let's talk about Tupac first before we release the dagger. Let's go into Tupac as a person. How was Tupac? Because of course, the media, as you said, portrays individuals in a certain light. And so by you working directly with him, tell us about him.
There were two sides to Tupac. You had the gangster side when he was with Suge and Snoop and all them, and then you had the family Tupac. They had the kids and the mom, the auntie. He catered to his family. He loved his family, and nothing came before his family. So a lot of stuff that you seen on TV was the gangster Tupac, because he was with Suge, and that's the persona that Suge wanted Pac to have. But that actually wasn't Pac. Pac was your more mild-mannered type of guy. But again, like I said, because he sang with Suge, and Suge got him out of his situation, he felt compelled to do and act this way with Suge. So, Suge get the full Pac.
So you're saying that gangster persona was kind of an act at times.
Absolutely.
And we've been hearing this, just with various different interviews that we've done about entertainers having
two sides.
They do.
Speak on that.
And why is it necessary, you think?
To sell records.
Everything's about the money.
It's about money. The industry is about money. And if you can't bring in money, you won't be in front of a TV.
Or a microphone.
Because the image sells. Like I say, a lot of these guys that portray this gangster role, that call themselves Pyru and Crips and all that, they're not. A lot of them paid their way to get into these associations. And unless you pay your way, you can't just walk around and say, yeah, I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood and all this stuff, and you're an R&B singer, or you're a rap singer, a rap artist or whatever. And you going in South Central, portraying that you're a Blood or whatever, knowing you ain't know nothing about no laws or none of that. Like, I'm gonna just say it, Chris Brown. You got your Soulja Boys, guys like that. They pay. They have a fee that they have to pay in order to say that they're Crips or whatever, or Bloods or whatever.
A fee.
To the gang, you're saying?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask, how much does a fee like that?
That part I don't know. You just gotta pay.
And so it's a continual payment.
Absolutely.
And so they pretty much own them.
Pretty much. As long as they call themselves Crips, Bloods, or whatever.
So that leads me to ask you this. You were in that industry. You were in that world. We hear a lot about paying in different aspects, especially when it comes to like the Illuminati. Is that real?
Absolutely.
So Illuminati is real?
Absolutely.
And what does that look like versus what we think it is? based on what you
very
can
dark.
say.
It's very, very dark and demonic.
I mean, how does one become a part of them?
Well, it's
I mean,
all
are they
part of the
approached?
ritual when you come into the industry. You know, whether you're a rap artist or you're actor, actresses, or what have you. Those are rituals that you have to go through. Even your presidents have to go through it. Folks don't know that. Your president has to become a Mason and part of the Illuminati before they can become president.
Really?
Now, we do all this voting, that means nothing. They've already picked their president.
Now I can believe that.
I've heard things like this
I've
before.
definitely
But
heard
the
things like
Illuminati
that.
is definitely real.
And what
I
does
actually, to be honest with you, I've been approached quite a few times, and I actually got an email last week saying that my credentials fit what they're looking for.
why are you looking like this?
It's
you don't know
You got an email from the
Absolutely.
Illuminati.
Absolutely.
And explain. Okay, so let's go back to this for a second. So,
And this is no lie. I put this on my kids.
I mean, I believe you.
so when we think of the Illuminati, like obviously you don't want to out them because they have their powers, to come back. But what does that structure look like? Are these like the top the head honchos of who's basically running
Well,
entertainment?
it's just like the devil. The devil has his little
Minions?
little minions or what have you. They're the ones that go out and do the recruiting and bring them to the devil.
And then there are acts that you have to do in order to
Absolutely.
be a part of it. And is this
They
a
have
one-time thing?
They have these little dark rooms that they send you in, these little tunnels or what have you. In California, I'm gonna say where.
Okay.
That you perform the rituals, yeah.
Okay.
So are there any entertainers that you know of that are actually a part of the Illuminati?
Absolutely.
I think under what I've heard, it would be all of them.
I would say
That
the
are the
ones
big
that you
ones.
see in front of the camera that's always on the radio, those are your the big stars.
And so
And you wonder why you hear the same music all the time,
Yes.
same artists. Yeah, they gave up their blood.
So it's been said that Jay-Z and Beyonce are part of the Illuminati. So I'm assuming they're part of the head honchos then.
with the kind of money they making, I mean, it would only make sense if by this.
Or do you know?
Theory,
I mean, I don't. I mean,
works.
I'm just asking.
I do know I'm not a big fan of either one of them because of that reason. And it hurts to see people willing to have their lights cut off and all this stuff for someone that worships the devil just to go see them perform.
Let me ask you this: because there's been times where like Beyonce has put on a concert or put out a music video, and people are like, "That's Illuminati." Do they show little signs, but like,
Absolutely,
like
they have
almost
to.
like taunting you?
They have to. It's all part of the ritual.
So let me ask you something.
Just like the Grammys. You saw the Grammys this year with Sam Smith
Yeah.
and Petra, and all of them wearing red. That was to let you know that they're about to take over.
Wow.
They're coming.
So let me ask you this. And I'm not going to talk about this too much, but I got to bring him up because we've known Kanye West to air out several instances, and he's talked about the Illuminati, and then all of a sudden you see him start to quote unquote get spanked. And I mean, it's been controversial, and it's been said that the reason being is because he was trying to out
Those people.
individuals. But in the same token, we've seen where they've said he's been trying to hold seance to bring his mom back and various different things. So it's kind of like been a mixture of like, okay, what side is he really on? I mean, what do you say to that?
Kanye is a good friend. I know Kanye. And I love Kanye. Excuse me. I would say this Kanye is the Kanye you want to listen to and pay attention.
Really?
He's telling you the actual truth. The old Kanye, that we thought was crazy, that was because he was under a lot of medication. This Kanye, because he's not under medication no more and he's spilling the beans, this is the one you really want to listen to. Because he's telling you what's going on. He sold his soul. His mom was the sacrifice. And he tells you that every time he gets in front of the TV. He sold his soul to, sold his mom.
Wow.
And you notice Kanye was different when his mom was around. You know, that was like the piece to his puzzle. And when she passed away, you know, things started changing. They kept pumping him with medicine, like they do in Beyonce. Well, you ain't hear me say that. But, you know, they kept pumping him with medicine, you know, so he wouldn't tell the truth. And he actually came out and showed a text message where one of his psychiatrists was saying that, you know, he was going to pump him with more meds so they can continue to think that you're crazy. And Kanye was like, you can't do nothing because I'm going to tell everything. You know, so.
Do you think that's why he separated himself from the Kardashians?
Yeah. They're
the head
that's
Illuminatis.
A family. That's a family for you. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say they're the head, but they're a part. Strong part. How do you become this big off of a sex tape?
So let's go back a
And
little.
fake butts.
Let's go back a little.
True.
I want to back up, back to Tupac, and let's talk about the fact of you saying, you know, the whole gang correlation. So I guess my first question is, were you affiliated with any of these gangs?
No.
So
when I was with Pac, it had to stay business. You know, it wasn't, you know, I'm a fan of Pac, and none of this. You have to stay business minded because he was about business. When he went in the studio, it wasn't no fun and games, no playing around, none of that. Soon we went in the studio, hey, time is money, let's get it going.
So, and that leads me to my second question, because we know in today's world, you know, if you're affiliated with somebody, I mean, you know what I mean? And so how were you able to
penetrate that?
Right. How were you able to, like, even today, I mean, being associated to him, I mean, it's funny because when we did try to do our background check on you,
we can't find nothing on you.
We can't find nothing.
Absolutely, because I couldn't be in front of the media, none of that. I had to keep it strictly business.
Wow.
What do you think it was about you that Tupac gravitated to and basically hired you on the spot?
Because I kept it 100. You know, I told him exactly how I like to work and that, you know, I take everything serious, you know, because I wanted to be something in this industry and I wanted to evolve other people, you know, and escalate them in the business, you know, and make them, you know, superstars or what have you. Because when I was with this production company called Track Kings, that was our motto. You know, we don't make hits, we make history. So when we bring in artists, we work with artists, everything we touch had to be part of history. And
so talk about Track Kings. For those that don't know, I mean, name some, I guess, the artists that you've worked with under Track Kings.
Under Track Kings, we worked with some everyone. Our first big placement was with Ludacris. We did Large Amounts on the Red Light District album. Then we did Warning on the Release Therapy album, which we won a Grammy for. We worked with Lil Wayne. We did the Amelie record. We worked with Ruben Studdard. We had some records with Michael Jackson before he passed away, before Clive Davis changed and said he wanted Akon to do it. Same with Whitney Houston. We had some records with Whitney Houston, and Clive Davis wanted, you know, Neo to handle that in both albums.
So you worked with Whitney Houston and
Absolutely.
Michael Jackson personally?
Yes.
What were they like?
What were they like? I mean, because of course we've heard
in the media
stories about them,
Everything
and they actually, I feel like, had similar stories to a large degree. I mean, even until their deaths. I mean, both of them are legendary. But I mean, talk about that, because there have been several conspiracy theories of people saying that both of their deaths were
part of the Illuminati.
Planned.
It was part of the Illuminati, yeah. Absolutely.
Why? Why would the Illuminati kill them?
Because one, Michael Jackson started talking. He started talking about Tommy Mottola, which is one of the big guys in the industry when it comes to record labels, and they had a problem with that. And the same thing with Prince. You know, Prince won back his masters, and the labels didn't like that. So they figured, and in the industry, they figured you sell more when you're dead. So that was their way of making money, which they did. They both records, both artists Michael Jackson and Prince, their records sold what 300 times more than when they were alive. So it goes to show you. I mean, Illuminati is very powerful. I mean, they can come here and shut this down. That's just how strong it is.
I guess my question too is, these record labels, they make so much money off of these artists.
Absolutely.
If they know they have, like Whitney Houston, for example, it was obviously said that she had a drug addiction. If they knew that and the label has all this money, why not that's a person that could get the best treatment.
Well, she didn't come in with a drug addiction. Same way with Bobby. He didn't come in with a drug addiction.
You think that was introduced to them intentionally?
Absolutely.
So drugs are introduced.
It's big in the
And
industry.
it's kind of like a way of, and it sounds like to me, of control.
It is. Absolutely control. But you notice it's only us that we hear more about. You don't too much hear it about in the white industry, as far as pop music and stuff like that. Country, because they follow the rules. We don't. And that's the problem that they have.
Now, what do you mean by follow the rules? Break that down for me.
In that world, they don't too much like you to say Jesus. They hate you saying Jesus. Like, these artists, when they accept awards, they always mention God. They don't say Jesus because they can't. That's part of the ritual. You can't say Jesus. And to them, God could be, we thinking that is God Almighty, but to them is their leader.
Mm-hmm.
So who is that leader?
I don't know.
I mean, but if you did know, you wouldn't say.
I couldn't.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. No, I mean, listen,
like
feel
I say,
free.
they're very powerful.
Okay. That's fine.
Do they, I guess my question is, like, do they operate in every state?
They operate all over the world.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not just one
So,
particular place.
I hear you
Why do you think a lot of the European artists are coming over here?
So I hear you talking about all these celebrities and different artists. And I mean, our last big interview was on R. Kelly. We spoke to Don Russell, who was his former business consultant. So my question is, I don't know if you know the answer to this, who did R. Kelly piss off? Because I feel like...
And Don Russell hinted at it, that he was getting close to the point where he could buy his masters.
That's what it's all about. He's when you get 25 years in, you get to own your masters. And the labels don't want that because they figure they'll lose out if you get to own your masters, because now you can do whatever you want with them. So, because, I mean, I'm going to be honest, they pick on R. Kelly because they know he can't read or write. They know that, he has this handicap ability, he's not very, very smart. And you can tell by the crowd that he kept around him. And I've told him once before, when I met his first manager, Daryl, I try to get situations done with with R. Kelly, and Daryl's like, everything comes through me. And I'm like, but I need to talk with R. Kelly to get stuff done, And Daryl was like, no, everything, money, everything had to come through me.
And you think R. Kelly was probably unaware of that, right? I mean, he wouldn't have known that.
He was, until people started really telling him what's going on. And he started getting it, and he started letting people go. And that's when the problem came.
So he was getting robbed.
Yeah. Rob was getting robbed.
Rob was getting robbed.
Rob was getting robbed.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, essentially, that's what Don said as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of sounds like you're backing that up.
Yeah, I mean, they took advantage of him because of the handicap of him not knowing how to read or write. And when I tell you, this guy is a genius when it comes to music. Don't write no music down. I mean, he can just look at something and write a song about it and become a hit.
I mean, obviously, Trapped in the Closet. I mean, who else could have come up with that?
Absolutely. I've seen a guy sit down at the piano, and just look at something. They'll say, do a song about that chair, and he'll come up with a full song.
Musical genius. I mean, him. I mean, you've named
smart.
some greats. Him, Whitney Houston,
Michael Jackson.
It's funny because you see all of them had their own vices in one way or another.
Or at least that's the way it's portrayed.
Well, that's the way it's portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's back up a little, man. I want to kind of talk about this whole East Coast, West Coast beef a little bit. So, of course, we know gang beef back then is totally different from today, which we'll talk
Absolutely.
about that in the future. But let's talk about that. Like, talk about the seriousness of how gang beef was back then. Also, I mean, were you ever involved in any of that from the aspect of just guilty by association, being around him? I mean, because I'm pretty sure you guys were together a lot. So, did you ever encounter any of that?
No, again, we had if you were part of the executive team, you had to stay away from all that. You know, you were never around. That's why you never saw, you know, his A&R or any of those people next to him. You'll see his manager, but you won't see none of the executives.
Did you have to have security, like
Uh,
at home and stuff like that?
No, because again, we didn't get involved in none of that street stuff. So
Was it fabricated? Some of it, like what I mean is, okay, yes, we know gang beefs existed back then, but when we would see it on the camera, it would look real hyped. You know, was that real
that was
or
part
was
of the media.
okay?
It was part of the media.
Because that kind of sells records too.
Yeah, it sells record. And to be honest with you, Biggie and Pac, they were friends even before Pac passed away. They even talked because they were going to start a distribution company, and that was one of the reasons, you know, that, you know, this situation happened. You know, Diddy didn't want to lose Biggie, you know, and it was just, I would say, neither one of those guys, once they started seeing what was going on in business and how businesses was ran, they didn't want to, you know, continue their career, you know, with someone telling them how to run their life or whatever, or what can sell and what won't sell. They wanted to be in charge of their music, and the guys that were in front of them, like Suge and Diddy, they didn't want them. You know, they wanted to keep them as puppets like everybody else, but you the main puppet. And like I said, Biggie and Pac wanted to get together and do their own thing, and that's when Suge and Puff had a little talk.
And then shortly after that, Tupac is dead.
Absolutely.
So
And then shortly
Sure, I was
after
about
that,
to say shortly after that,
Biggie is
was
dead.
You know.
So my question
Because
then
Biggie
is,
was going to leave Pac. I mean, Diddy.
oh, so Biggie was gonna leave Diddy,
Mm-hmm.
and Tupac was gonna leave Suge,
Yeah, they was going to start their own distribution.
and then they both end up dead.
Yep.
Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
So Tupac had a notorious song out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I, your, B, right? Which was really a shot at Biggie
Mm-hmm.
because he had a relationship with Faith, or did he? Or was that to sell records?
Both. Both.
You saw him with Faith Evans?
I've never seen him with Faith. You know, I just heard from associates, you know, that they were around each other a lot. But no one could say if Pac really did anything with Faith.
Well, that would be interesting because that would mean that Biggie and him shook it out,
Yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely.
we're
So-
going to let this beef go.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of it was media hype, you know, to sell some records.
Mm-hmm.
so in your opinion, who do you feel like shot Tupac?
I couldn't even answer that. I really don't know. I just know it was a hit.
And you feel like they both were connected, and by me saying
They
both,
were connected.
Tupac and
Biggie, they were both connected by their ringleaders.
so let me ask you
Because
this.
ask yourself, if Pac was in that car, how is it that Suge was in the car with him? Pac gets hit 9 times, but Suge only got grazed. How is that possible? A lot of questions you got to ask. You
It's
got
a
to
lot
pay
of
attention.
questions.
You got to pay attention.
So now let's talk about the day this happens. Of course, it was chaos in the media where everybody's like, "Oh my God." Let's talk about internally from the executive side. Like, I mean, what were your thoughts when you found out? What was going on
happening?
in your mind? What happened internally in the camp? Like, I mean,
Well, again, like I said, Pac knew that it was a hit, and we all talked about it, you know, and his mom didn't want him
To
out
go.
in Vegas, you know, period, just like Biggie mom didn't want him out in L.A. And we just, I was on the phone with his mom, and we were pretty much just talking about, how could we stop it? Could we go to Biggie? To Diddy. Could we go to Suge and see how we could stop this beef or whatever, so no one gets hurt? Because in the end, we knew something was going to happen, and his mom just said, all I can do is just pray that my son will be okay. That's all she kept saying. I pray my son will be okay. And when she got the call, it was like her world ended, and it was a sad moment for all of us. I was it was nothing for me to say or anything I could say, to calm her, to make her feel good, because she's lost her son, and to me, Pac was like a little brother, and to hear it, even to this day, certain songs when I hear it, it's like it brings back memories, and I shed so many tears. That's my favorite Pac song. Every time I hear that song, I tear up, because it meant so much, and that was why it was part of that album. To me, I would say, my opinion, that was the best song on that record, on that album. And yeah, it was tough. It was tough. And then to hear Biggie, years later, it's like, when is this going to end? It was just a lot, and it upsets me, watching TV, listening to Diddy, seeing how Biggie was this to him, like a little brother and all this, and you was the ringleader of all this, so it just pissed me off, because he's putting on this fake facade like he really cared. And you got this man's family sitting here weeping and missing a son, a brother, a nephew or whatever, and you want to be out here acting stupid, talking about, Biggie was like my brother, and he this, that, and the other. He was just a commodity to you.
So let me ask you this: if Biggie and Pac were alive today, who would you compare them to in the industry today? And what I mean by that is,
you can't. They're in their own lane.
What do you think? By you saying that, what do you think of these new age rappers?
Well, I was gonna say, do you think they would still be relevant today?
No.
You think
we're talking
Biggie
about it's a whole
and
nother
Tupac
trend,
would?
whole nother industry.
It don't matter. You still Biggie and Tupac was still gonna be on top, regardless.
In today's
Even in
era.
today's era,
with all of the
it don't matter.
trap music, all of the.
We're talking about Pac and Biggie, two of the biggest guys in hip hop. Just like with DMX, we lost another soldier because of this Illuminati crap.
Wow.
What do you think it's going to take for the Illuminati? Do you think it will ever go away?
No.
They're
Not
too
until
powerful
they take
now.
over. Yeah.
When you said that Tupac knew it was a hit coming, was he showing signs of paranoia? Or he wasn't worried about it? He was like, if it happens, it happens.
It was basically, if it happens, it happens. He wasn't afraid of anything. Nothing at all. Nothing that came at him. You look at his interviews, when he talking, he always ended with a smile, like, nothing. I fear no one.
I guess because you would think of a man of his stature,
and he wasn't a big guy.
in the street.
Yeah, physically, yeah, he wasn't a big guy.
What, maybe
Well, I'm talking about as far as at this point, he's
His
developed a
status.
name for him. His status
Right.
is huge. You would think he would have, security, armed security all around him. You would
He
think
had
that.
security, but again, Pac wasn't afraid of nobody. He would go out, he would walk out in O Block by himself and wouldn't be afraid. He feared no one.
Do you think there would have been anything that could have been done to stop what happened with Tupac? Or
No.
or that was
It
going to happen at
it
some
was gonna
point at
happen
some time?
At some point. It was going to happen at some point.
So tell me, what was it like working with the record label after his death for you?
Well, I mean, to kind of echo that, I mean, was it a label without him?
It was still a label. It was just that at that point we just had to put pieces together to make it work, because he wasn't around. And Pac, even to this day, he has over 200 records still that hasn't been released. So we took a bunch of those records and pieced them together, and that's how we did the All Eyes on Me, the Don Cluminati album, and those records. We just pieced them together.
Who owns that? Like, who owns those records that are still out there that have not been put out into the mainstream? And is it possible they could be?
I think it's BMI owns majority of that.
And do they ever let other artists? Because sometimes that happens.
You can license out the records. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because actually, speaking of the previous interview we had with Don Ross, he was telling us how there'll be another R. Kelly 10 years from now.
Because they own his masters.
Because they own his masters. And so basically, essentially, they use him for his gift, for his music.
Yeah.
And put another name, another voice.
They get rid of him.
Yeah.
And
recycle the songs.
They recycle the songs. So
that's
now
common.
you have someone else.
That's how the industry is. They keep it moving. I mean, look at Jamie Foxx. He's working on a film. He ended up taking ill, and they used a stunt double
to finish the movie.
So in the industry, you're just a number. They'll make a clone of you.
So what do you do to avoid that? I guess essentially,
There's nothing you can avoid. You can't. I mean, once you're in, you're in.
Once you're in, and when they tired of you or they done with you, that's it. Your time is up.
And when you don't follow the rules, they kill your career.
Do you feel like
Jonathan Majors?
Do you explain that? Because we've talked about that with Jonathan Majors. We were
I'm
he was up.
actually glad you brought that up because we've literally been having this conversation.
At home,
and it was funny because we were actually issued in that same.
We were in that
article.
same Ebony.
We were in that same Ebony
issue for that month.
And what's funny is that we were like, man, like Jonathan Majors.
Because Ebony was pumping him every day.
And everybody's heard his name. We had heard of him, but not to this extent. I mean, it's like it was an overflow, like just Jonathan Majors.
And next thing you know, he's on your
radar.
radar.
All of a sudden, next thing you know, he's the new hot thing. And then
it's these allegations.
Now it's like all of a sudden out of the blue, he's a woman beater. And I'm like,
it is the Illuminati. When you don't do what they say, they mess up your career. Look at Trey Songz. He was in the news about raping women or whatever he was doing, sexual assault. When last time you heard about it?
Well, that brings up a point.
When you shut your mouth, they get rid of it. You don't hear nothing about it.
Because T.I. was in the news for a whole bunch of women. I mean, it was so many women, and then the next thing you knew, nothing.
He had to apologize. They made him apologize certain ways.
What is an apology in their world?
That I can't get into.
It's not, I'm sorry, though.
No. Anybody can say I'm sorry.
So have you saw, since we were on the whole topic of Tupac, that Hulu just released a new show, a new
series. Yep.
Have you seen it?
No.
Do you
Are you going to?
I might. I don't know. Because a lot of stuff folks are doing to monetize off of it. This man has been dead, almost 30 years? And now all of a sudden you want to come out with another documentary.
So, like, who controls
that?
Well, who controls it? Who makes this money? Who signs off on saying, hey, you can do a documentary?
The state? I
mean, well, because when Afeni went to court about the masters and everything, she just wanted to keep the name, Tupac. And that's basically what she told the judge, if I can just keep my son's name, that's all I want. I don't want nothing else. And she was awarded that. So now it's free game. You can do whatever you want.
With the other stuff.
So as long as you keep, it doesn't say Tupac.
you said something that we just moved right past, but I caught it. And it was early on in the interview. You said the words, his kids. Did Tupac have kids?
Yes, he has a son and a daughter.
I mean, because the public does not know that.
Of course not.
Okay.
Because he kept that away from everybody. I told you, when it comes to family, it was just family. And
So-
all you saw was the street Pac.
Where are these kids? 'Cause
They're
it
in
sound-
Atlanta.
So,
But they don't want to, I'm guessing they don't want to be known.
They don't want to, no.
so they don't even probably want their name attached,
None of that.
associated.
Nothing.
So when
Yeah,
he
they're very
passed
smart
away,
kids.
how old were they? Because they
were
would be
really,
adults
really
now.
young. Yeah, they're adults now. I want to say 5 and 7 or something like that.
And who's the mom?
Or moms.
Moms.
That I still don't know to this day.
Did they have the same mom?
I believe so, yeah.
And did you ever see Tupac in relationship with Madonna?
No.
Okay. Because wasn't that alleged that they had something going on?
A lot of this stuff is
And
funny
Jada
to me.
Pinkett and Janet
Well, him
Jackson.
and Jada were very, very close friends.
Friends or friends with benefits?
Very close friends.
Okay. We know what that
I'll
means.
just say very close friends.
Okay. So that was true.
You know, he could. I'll leave that alone.
He could what? You can't just leave
No,
it like that.
no.
He
You
could
gotta
what?
bring it in. Bring
If
it
he
in.
wanted to hit it, he could hit it anytime he wanted. That's how close they were.
And you knew that. That was known
That I
between
knew.
you guys.
Yeah, that I knew.
He didn't hide that relationship.
Not at all. You know, they were just that tight. You know, so
What about the other J? Janet Jackson.
I mean, even Bobby had her.
Bobby had Janet Jackson?
Yeah. Y'all didn't know that?
No.
Wait a minute.
Bobby Brown?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bobby Brown.
Had a relationship with Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson, yeah. They even showed it in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know
I
that.
did.
They
I
even
saw
showed it
that.
in the movie.
I saw that. It was in the movie. He's right. I actually saw that.
Don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah, I actually did see that.
So,
yes.
so they were cool, but
I'll put it like this: a lot of the female artists got around, and some of them to this day still get around. You know, that's how they get into the industry.
Well, I was told that in the industry, like everything is up for grabs, and it's like they kind
I
of
put it like
they
this:
kind of
women
understand.
are up for grabs. So,
more than men are.
well, the men is a different story. You know, you're up for grabs for the executives.
Sexually?
How you think these guys get in the business?
Well, the reason why I asked that is because there's been an allegation.
Again, that's part of the ritual.
And, you know, there's an allegation, and I ain't going to say one. There's been so many allegations, and the name that you said made me think about this. Diddy. Diddy, people have been saying that
What do you think
they call
those
him Brother
white-
Love for a reason. Yeah, what?
Why do you think they have these all-white parties? What do you think happens at these all-white parties?
Have you been to any of them?
No.
I don't know what happens. What
So
happens?
how do you know?
I've been told about from people that went there, and some of them didn't partake, some of them did. And you'll be surprised at who you see at these parties in these back rooms. These guys that you consider husband, you know, falling in love with this person and that person, and he's in the room sucking some dude's toes or other things.
Oh, my God. And why?
It's all part of the ritual.
Got it. Because Diddy, I mean, his name
And
comes up
I'm
a
gonna
lot
say this, and
with
I'm gonna
these
keep I'm
allegations.
gonna keep it 100, and that's why I guess a lot of folks in the business respect me because I tell it like it is. A lot of these guys that you see in the industry that are married or portray being married, a lot of them that's a persona that they have to put that in front of the cameras to show, you know, their masculinity or whatever. But once these are going, they're in that room with Diddy, with John, with Robert, with whoever.
But in this era, okay, where, you know, you can be free sexually, right? Like we
And they
see
are.
but we see so many people that are openly gay, openly bisexual. Why hide behind the closet?
Probably image.
It's image, yeah. They have to keep that image, you know, especially, you know, the ones that you think are all built.
I was just gonna say, if you're supposed to be a gangster,
Right.
well, you can't portray.
Right, that.
A lot of your rap artists are gay. But
Such
they
as?
walk around with this persona that they're.
Such as?
You see them.
I mean, listen, I don't know now what to believe or who. I mean,
like I say, I keep it 100. A lot of these guys that you think are straight are not straight, or they may think that they're straight, but they're not.
How did you last so long?
Once you sign that deal, you know, I put like this is how it goes. You come into the record exec office, you sit down with the executive, and they ask you, do you really want to be in this industry? Is this really what you want? Mm-hmm. And soon you say yes, you sign a contract, and they take you in the room. They got a camera just like this set up, everything, and you're free. You get knocked off by 2-3 guys.
So how did you last in this industry so long when you're the complete opposite of that?
Absolutely. I stay away from that.
Or have you lasted? Has this hurt your career? Would
Absolutely
you be
not.
further in your career? Do you
I probably
feel
would
like
be further if I was part of the Illuminati, but I chose not to.
That's interesting. Because there are a lot of people, obviously, that are choosing it. Mm-hmm. And it's all for the money.
And the ones that don't choose it, a lot of these artists that we used to see all the time, we don't see them no more because they're not part of that. And
so, is there a penalty for saying no?
Yeah.
Your career or actual?
Your career, pretty much. You don't get the big stage. You get a stage, but it wants to be the big stage. Mm-hmm. But it's a little different for executives, you know, because they figure we could change at any time, you know. And being in this business 28 years, I show how strong I was, you know. I mean, I had a strong pastor. You know, we both shared, you know, the same pastor. And my belief when it comes to this industry and having the desires of my heart, I figure I can wait because what's for me is for me. And when it's time for me to get it, I'll get it. I've had the houses, had the cars, money, the jewelry, all that. You know, it's just I wasn't in front of this because I felt, why? Why do I need to be in front of the cameras? For what? So people can see what I got so they can come steal it? No.
Any regrets?
Not at all.
What would you say has been the biggest highlight of your career?
The biggest highlight, I would say, winning our first Grammy.
And that was with TUPAC?
That was with Luda.
Ludacris, yes, you did say that. You did say that.
Yeah, because
now, I will mention.
I think the Tupac win. Tupac never
I
had the opportunity.
to speak on that. Tupac was actually nominated for 6 the year that he passed away, and we came out with the All Eyes on Me album. That was nominated for 6 Grammys, but the Grammy board didn't want Tupac to be a part of it at all. So he wasn't on the ballots.
Because he was a gangster rapper.
Absolutely.
I remember that.
And he actually was going to win all 6. So he would have had 6 Grammys up on his belt.
Are the Grammys literally based off of talent and skill, or is that part of the hierarchy of the Illuminati too?
The Grammys is more, I wouldn't say talent, because a lot of these folks that are winning Grammys don't have talent.
Isn't that the truth?
You know, and a lot of people, you know, their records sound good, but you hear them live, it's like, this ain't the same record. You know, because a lot of them, that's why when you see rap artists, they don't know their lyrics. They have you throwing your hands up and have you singing the lyrics because they don't know them.
A lot of them be off drugs and lean and everything else anyway.
Even at the Grammy Award shows and the American Music Award shows, the teleprompter has their words up there for them just in case they don't know their words.
So let me ask you something, because we were talking about how they don't want you to own your own masters, they don't want you to own your own music. Well, and I'm asking this because, you know, you're from Chicago, you're Chicago-based. Chance owns his own. Chance has done something that most in the industry have not been able to, and he's been successful. Mm-hmm. So why hasn't he been attacked?
Because Chance do things different than everyone else. And to be honest, with Chance, when it comes to his music, he doesn't sell his records. He gives his records away. He makes his money off merchandise. And that's how he gets over. He's figured, okay, if you sell records, now you got a catalog. Now you got to get a production deal. I mean, not a production deal, distribution deal, and all that stuff. And he's like, I don't want to be bothered. I can just give my music away. I'll make more music with my merchandise, which he did. That hat with the 3 on it, he made $6 million off that. So why do you need to sell records? In which he probably will end up getting maybe 100, 200,000 off of.
When you listen to today's music, what goes through your mind, especially the rap?
I want to throw up.
Why?
There's no substance. You know, everybody's talking about the same: money, sex, hoes, drugs, and the music is the same.
Why? Who is doing this?
They're not creative. These kids are not creative. But the labels push it, and they push it on the radio because they know the young generation, all they just want to hear is the beat. And if someone's talking about killing this person, killing that person, that's all they care about. And it sells.
And when we talk about executives, are these people from the block, like the rappers are, some of them? Or are most of them from an environment where they don't know nothing about that life in real life?
Some of them don't. A lot of these so-called gangster rappers are suburban boys.
Not to interrupt you, but Kanye said that. Kanye said he had to fake it to make it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the executives.
Well, the executives, I mean, they're from all walks of life. You know, and that's the problem that I had with some executives, because they were making decisions based off what they liked and not the consumer. You know, I went into EMI one day because I was trying to get a deal for C.C. Peniston and Montel Jordan. And the label flat out told me no one wants to hear from old school artists no more. And would you believe that year, Charlie Wilson went gold. He was the biggest selling record male artist that year. And Sade was the biggest selling artist that year. She sold 3 million copies with no promotion. And the executive marketing director, I forgot his name, he called me and said, "You were right." I said, "Yeah."
Well, that was actually going to be my next question, is that do you feel like we'll ever get back to that era of what we called real music?
Good music.
No.
No? That's over?
It's over. I mean, unless something drastically changed, no, I don't see it happening.
And then that leads me to my next question. And this is going back
I mean, it's possible, but again, I mean,
it will have to change the dynamics of the culture.
Absolutely.
Right now, the culture is not leaning in that way, and I don't see it happening for years.
Yeah, I mean, kids like listening to trash.
Kids like listening to it. But let me ask you this. This is going back to Kanye for a minute. Do you feel like Kanye's career is over?
I don't think it is. And I don't know if Kanye really wants to really do anything as far as musically, you know, music-wise. He still has a lot of money, a whole lot of money. The guy's a billionaire. So, I mean, if he does put out an album, to me, it'll probably be a throwaway album, you know, just to give something to the fans.
And I'm asking that because, I mean, we saw, of course, what happened with him and the Kardashians. I mean, he split up with Kim. That whole little sequel, media bashed him. Then we had the whole issue with
Adidas,
and
Gap.
then they basically tried to cancel him and cut him off, which they've tried to cancel Kanye actually a lot of times, several times in his career.
He called them out. He called
them out, and he started to talk a little bit too much.
You know
and
why?
then you see
that
him,
was the Illuminati.
And that's my point I'm leading to.
Yeah.
And then now you see him somewhat disappear, get married. He's had a couple of appearances
but not really.
But we haven't really heard anything from Kanye. Kanye was saying a lot, talking a lot. And so I guess my question is, like, has he been shut up?
No.
Or is it just him saying, all right, let me fall back?
Just doing Kanye. That's it. Just doing Kanye. You know, doing what he want to do.
Last question. I'm going to let you go. I guess inspirational words, or what would you say to today's artist or a potential artist trying to get in the music industry? Because we know this is a totally different atmosphere, totally different genre. We've talked about people having to sell their souls. And in some instances, a lot of people are probably willing to sell their souls just to get that fame. I mean, so what would you say from an executive status to a potential artist looking to get in?
I'll say this first. Most of the kids get in it because they're come from low-income families, and they're thirsty for money. They need money. So they're willing to do whatever, and the industry know that. So that's why they go after these type of artists, that's willing to do whatever. But me personally, I tell kids every time, or any guys that want to think about getting into the business, I tell them to study the business first. Know everything about the business, how it's ran, know how distribution is done, how you make your money, what sells, things of that sort. And I tell them to stay independent. That's the only way I'll say that you'll really make some real money. Because signing with a major label, you're not going to make real money no more. Because again, they don't sell CDs no more, so where you going to make your money at? All music is made off, money is made off of tours and merchandising. So if you can build that yourself, then you don't need a label.
If you stay independent, do you stay away from the Illuminati?
You can. I mean, they'll still come after you, just to pull you to that side, to get you to be bigger than what you can do on your own.
Yeah, that's a good question because you see a lot of local artists who have huge followings who you would have thought had what it takes to make it. I mean, I'll throw out a name specifically, Queen Key. Huge following. But
definitely on social media.
She hasn't elevated her career probably to where she thinks and probably looking at all the other artists where she should be. But then you see somebody like, and I can't even say her name, Glorilla. And you see somebody like Glorilla who gets signed.
Garbage.
I mean, so it's like, is it? And we don't. I mean, Queen Keys tried to patent herself after like Chance, especially breaking away from. I think she had some type of bad deal when she went viral over. But I guess my thing is like, is it who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, who you know,
who you're dealing
and
with,
what you're willing to do,
and what you're willing to
and
do.
what you're willing
Absolutely.
to do. Okay. Hey man,
that's
listen.
just how bad the industry is.
Thank you, man. Listen, we thank you for joining us. I mean,
anytime.
Is there any?
You dropped some bombs.
You definitely dropped some bombs. Any final words? I mean,
yeah, like
anything
I
else
say, I
that we
tell
left
it
out?
100. I'll say my sister Cece Peniston got some stuff coming out soon when she gets out of her little situation. Did pretty much her whole project, so.
We'll have to have y'all back.
This is a bomb album. Once we get ready
I was actually going to ask, what are you working on now currently? So that's.
We finished her album a little while ago. Other than that, me personally, I manage a black professional golfer now that lives here in the city. In LaGrange.
That's left like.
Yeah, that's a huge transition.
Right, a huge transition.
It don't matter what sport or whatever you do music, I manage you. If I see that you have the capability of progressing, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
All right, man. Well,
what's CC Peniston's situation?
She has a court situation battle with Lizzo.
Oh, over that song.
Over the song, yeah.
Because she sampled CC Peniston's song, but didn't want to pay her the money for the song.
Absolutely.
That's been going on for a while now.
For a while, yeah.
Why is it taking so long to settle it? I mean, it's obvious that there was a sampling there.
Yeah. That I don't know the details.
Has Lizzo apologized or said?
Again, I don't know.
But when that call is made, who's responsible for that? The artist or the actual music label?
Probably both.
It's actually both. It's more so actually the producer. If the producer the one that did the record and sampled the record, they're the ones that's supposed to reach out and they're supposed to actually let the artist know, hey, I sampled this from so and so. We got to get the clearance for it before you can do it.
And that record sold a lot.
Yeah, it did. I guess now I gotta ask this.
Wait, what you say?
CC want hers.
She want her money from the record.
I mean,
she deserves it.
She should.
That's my sister.
So currently, any known artists that you're still working with, still talk to on a regular basis?
I still talk to everybody. Except for Lil Wayne. I haven't talked to Lil Wayne and God knows when, or Baby. They're that's another subject. But everybody.
Right, you can't just say
you can't keep leaving these cliffhangers, man.
No, that's another subject.
I mean, with Baby, you know, he's very funny. You
They
know,
say that.
even with the record, the Millie record. I don't know if you all know the history of that record. My producer Chalo produced the record, and somehow Bangladesh got it and put his little whatever on it and presented it to Cash Money, you know, as if he did the record. When in actuality, we had proof that my producer did it. So we had to go through this lengthy court battle, and Baby told me, you know, the only way you're going to get paid is if you take me to court. And that's what we did, and we won.
Wow.
So he can be dirty, essentially, is what
Absolutely.
you're saying.
Yeah. That's how. And again, you know, a lot of these guys, they act tough, and they only tough because they have these guys around them. By themselves, they're different. Suge Knight, prime example.
Anyway, listen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of When Hits the Fan.
Because it did today.
It
hit the fan.
Definitely hit the fan. We want to thank you for coming out.
No problem.
We definitely going to have you back.
Yeah, we could do this all night.
Oh, my God.
We could play a drinking game all
Yeah,
night.
we're going to have to have this should have been a 2-hour interview.
It should have been.
But it's okay because we're going to have him back.
With Cece. We got to have Cece back.
Yeah,
after
we're going to
that
have you
court
back with Cece after the
battle,
podcast.
too.
We want to talk to her.
She
So,
just left Chicago, too.
yeah, we're going to have you back on that, man. So, look.
Follow us on all social media platforms.
And let us know in the comments what
Early
you
and
think
Tia.
about this interview. Whoa.
Mic drop. We might as well just get up because it ain't nothing else to say.
I mean, yeah, I just moved the mic out the
move
way.
the mic
I mean,
and
it's
just go.
like, it ain't nothing
it's a
else to say.
wrap.
We can just
Nothing
walk
else
away.
to say.
Cut.